Hi guys, I'm really sorry about that. We seem to be having some technical difficulties. I've just had to run back to the house and download videos and things. It's Richard Cockhill for the Forest Schools Level 3, and we're working on Unit 2 1.5. I'm afraid we just had a wee cut out of the video there. Hopefully we've not missed too much. I think from looking back on the videos, all you've really missed is that I've made a couple of cuts with a saw, and that's about it. We're in the middle of making a few items, so we'll just crack on and hopefully everything will work out in the long run. I'm slightly out of breath now because of course I've been running about, so we'll crack on and try and get back in the flow of things. So we're just lining this up and then battening the wood away to make those right angle steps. Take that a little bit further. Always got to be careful when battening with an axe not to hit the haft of the axe, that damages it. There we go. That should work. Get that off the fire. Other side. Just had a wee knot to get through there. There we go. Simple. Now we'll just use our knife to straighten up those edges. Down there. There's a mat down there, if I'm not sure if the camera can see it, to keep the tools off the floor. That was not too bad. Give that a try, see what we get. Not too bad at all. Last one to batten. I will admit that these are not battening just quite as simple as I thought they would. Maybe a few more knots and things in that I'm not quite seeing. I picked this because it was an easy technique. But that's the point, isn't it? Overcoming challenges. Appropriate levels of risk. And different level of risk for me, I guess. A new different technique with the axe there, same as with what the knife is, as long as I don't bring it up above the area of my thumb. And I hold the axe very near the throat. We can keep that not too bad, nice and safe. Trick is not to be terrified of the axe, just treat it with respect, just like any other cutting tool really. Same as you would a car or that's slightly more how they're supposed to go. open up that notch a wee bit with the axe, sorry, with the saw. And that just comes away. Symbols. Use that axe technique as well. It's very good for taking away larger bits of wood. And if you see that it's not actually anywhere near the height of my thumb, that's not too bad. Put the axe away. Any adjustments? There we go. A nice low bench. Very low. Ta-da! Next I'm going to have a go at making a photo frame, which is going to be interesting for me because I've never done the square lashings before. I only learned this technique last night as part of the preparation for today. So, learning curve all round. We'll keep that, that's not what we want. And we'll start by making some square edges. Keep them the same length. And then we'll cut them in half, or roughly so. That's the pieces that I want to keep, so it can go away. And just check that we're still recording. We don't want another farce. Yeah, we're still going. What I'm hoping to make here is sort of a square lashing of the four pieces. We're going to need some string. I was going to work over in this area, but there's far too much smoke coming in, so we'll do it over here. In fact, I might get my mat over. Save my knees. Bit of string, only 4 of them. One. Two. Three. And 4. Hopefully that'll be long enough. So we practice for the knots section later on. See if I can remember how to tie my clove hitch. Hey. I have a love-hate relationship with knots, in that I practice them and I practice them and I get so good at them I think, yep, that's knots learned, and then 2 weeks later I've forgotten them. Even just a working edge, and sorry, a non-working edge just off the side there. Tying that off tight as I can. Keeping everything nice and secure. There you go, one corner, square lashed with a piece of string. Tie that clove hitch again. totally new knot to me, the clove hitch. Get that right? That didn't feel right. Oh, that's good. And hey, that's cool. Learning new skills. It's pretty cool in my book. Keep the dimensions roughly equal. Keeping that loose end out of the road. And then a few wraps round. Squaring it all up. And tighten it there. Give my fire some attention in a minute. There we go, 2 sides. The last one. There we go, I'm just going to feek up the fire. Oh, that's another local term, feek. Don't need a roaring fire, we just don't want it to go out. We have an intention to cook on it later on. Working with a fire next to you is always fun. It's like you've got company. I'm a great believer in the telling stories around fire. Probably something quite deep within us, that. Something I really love doing with the young folk and other students. Now, if someone could just lend me a third hand, that'd probably be quite handy here. Fat chance. Lovely wee skill to pass on this. And then for the young folk to have something to take home, remind them of the woods. I'm just going to tie that off. Last one. Oh, king of the clove hitch now. Reckon I'm even getting half decent at the square lashing. Tie around. Fighting for just enough string at the end. So close. And there we go. We fall for him. Bonnie. Okay. Next on our list, if we're still filming, oh, we're going good, is we're going to make a tent peg. Nothing too fancy, but it's good skills to practice with a knife. In this instance, I'm going to be using the block. I'm also going to be using forward technique, just because we're a little bit cramped. Normally this would be done a bit more to the side, but just for the camera I'm going to work forward. We're just going to put a point onto our stick. This is a piece of willow. Willow's great because it grows back. Now we could get away with that, but we'll do a slightly better job and just shave that down a bit. What I want is quite an acute angle on there. If it was long and tapered, it would be apt to break. And we're going to keep we could keep it that length depending on how soft our ground is, but we're going to shorten it, and we're going to use a wee technique to shorten our tent peg as well. So I'm just going to make a small cut all the way around the top of our tent peg, just a wee circle like so, and then a bit deeper actually. And then I'm going to cut from the bottom up, just using my thumb as a little lever, keeping my other finger out the way. I'm just going to cut towards the notch that I just made. What that's going to do is it's going to create a little chamfered edge all the way around. And the reason we're doing this, and why a chamfered edge is a good thing, tie that up, is because the chamfered edge with a flat surface on the top will take a hammer blow much better. And then we can just twist that. I say it takes a hammer blow much better. What it does is it spreads the weight, stops the stick splitting, or helps to stop the stick splitting. I'm just taking that out there, and I'm going to clean that up with my knife. And that's the top of the tent peg, nice and chamfered. I'll hopefully give you a close-up of that as well. Now to tie the string on, we're going to use almost exactly the same technique. We'll just push in, make a nice cut, and then a few cuts up just to make that angle as we go. And there we go. We have, I'll give you a little close up. Tent peg. Hey. Okay. So that's 3 items. We've got one more to go. I'll just check we're still filming. And I'm hoping, yeah, we're still going. I'm hoping that I'm going to make something to hang my pot on. So what I've got, I'll try this piece here. What I've got is a piece of willow, and what I want is something to hang my pot on so I can cook my lunch. So what we'll do is we'll use probably a saw mostly, and a knife. Oh, there's the camera. And we'll just have a go. What's going to be good and what's not. Obviously I want something that's going to be strong enough to take the weight of a pot of water, so I can make some coffee. I think that after all our technical hitches, we certainly need one. Now what I want is when it's up and there's weight on it, that it wants to hang in the right direction. And I think that's going to be okay if we flatten this edge and jam that under a rock. I've left that little bit there so that the pot won't slide backwards. If we have to move that, I don't want hot water coming back towards me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten off that top edge. It's already partially done because a branch is split off. So I'm going to flatten that, put a wee taper on it, flatten off the other edge, the other end, sorry, and then we'll have a go at seeing what that looks like on the fire. Maybe even get a little pot on it. I'm just using that lever technique. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to shorten that branch a bit actually. There's a big knot there. Carving knots, it absolutely can be done. It can sometimes cause a lot more hassle than it's really worth. So I'm going to flatten that top off. Using that lever technique that I showed you earlier. And I'm going to take a wee chamfer on these edges just to make it a little bit stronger. Keep everything reasonably neat. I'm now going to put a wee notch in there, and I want that for the handle of my pot to stick into. To lay in? Yeah. It's amazing how when the video gets turned on and all your English words go out the window. Really hope you guys have a sense of humour. There we go, just round them off I think. This is where the sharp edge really comes into its own. Trying to do this kind of thing with blunt tools is an absolute nightmare, especially if you're not too confident. Now, what we'll do, I'm going to go get my pot. And see how that sits. A wee notch there. And that sits quite alright. Yep, happy with that. Right, you can go over there, pot. Any Joe Abercrombie fans out there, the pot did not reply. Anyone who doesn't know what that's all about, they're going to think I'm absolutely bonkers now. Now what I'm looking for there is just where it roughly lines up with that flat edge of the cook pot. So that we can get a flat edge at both sides. I love it when the fire gets to this stage, it's almost like it's speaking to you. Just nice and calm and quiet. You know you've got embers in there for any purpose now. Good for cooking and keeping you warm. What I might do, just for a change, is we'll just pop the axe out You can make very swift work of these jobs. And just show, I'm going to keep that flat. Your axe is nice and sharp. Then it can do a very clean job indeed. There we go, I'm going to leave that edge flat. And what I'll do now, give a very quick demo of what we do. Is I need, maybe just use this log just now. So we'll get a slightly larger log than this, and another log at the back there, which we'll stick our end in, and then hang our pot, and we can adjust the height of the pot by moving this log further to the back to raise it up, or move it close to the fire to lower it down, get more heat. And that's our 4 items. Thanks very much guys, sorry about the technical difficulties.